G'day and welcome to Let's Try Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. This is kind of one of the more well-known games that I've covered on this game. Actually, it's the second game of his that I've covered on Let's Try. The very first game I played on Let's Try, Ape Out, Bennett Foddy was involved in. And I know, unlike a lot of Let's Try games, I know about this one. There's probably a good reason why it's been on my list for some time. Why does that scroll so incredibly slowly with the mouse wheel? Let's just stick everything here and see how we do. So I've seen speedruns of this game, but I've never tried it myself, and I've had it since it was a humble original, and let's see how we do. That's right, this is entirely mouse driven, right? Yeah. And it's not like you click to do something. It's literally mouse driven. And this is inspired by, I believe it's inspired by Sexy Hiking, which is a very odd old Flash game. And you can see here that kind of got quite an odd cadence to it. Yeah. So you kind of want to pull yourself up. Wow. When I've seen videos of this, I don't think it's the first tree that I've seen most people get stuck at. But look at that. Oof. All those noises. It's great. So yeah, like this is definitely intended to be a game about frustration. Okay, yeah, sure. And you've got to balance
There's no
precision.
feeling more intense than starting over. If you deleted your homework the day before it was due, as I have.
Okay, let's see.
Or if you left your wallet at home and you have to go back after spending an hour in the commute. If you won some money at the casino and then put all your winnings on red but it came up black. If you got your best shirt dry cleaned before a wedding and then immediately dropped food on it. If you won an argument with a friend and then later discovered that they just returned to their original view, starting over is harder than starting up. If you're not ready for that, like if you've already had a bad day, then what you're about to go through might be too much. Feel free to go away and come back. I'll be here.
That's pretty cool. I like hearing that. Also, it's got a much more Aussie accent than mine, right? Whoop whoop. Okay. Bonk. Hey. The pogo is definitely, I feel like, a technique I'm gonna need to try and get used to.
Alright, thanks for coming with me on this trip. I'll understand if you have to take a break at any point. Just find a safe place to stop and quit the game. And don't worry, I'll save your progress, always. Even your mistakes.
Fair? Fair? Like that. So, I wonder if there's a particular kind of, because I've seen a lot of speedruns and things, I wonder if you're really mostly gonna see people that have spent a lot of time on this, but also a lot of time doing things very quickly. And I get that that's actually part of it. So sometimes
this game is a homage to a free game that
momentum.
came out in 2002, titled Sexy Hiking.
There we go.
The author of that game was Jazuo, a mysterious Czech designer who was known at the time as the father of B games. And B games are rough assemblages of found objects. Designers slap them together very quickly and freely, and they're often too rough and unfriendly to gain much of a following. They're built more for the joy of building them than as polished products.
Yeah, I keep going the wrong way. I dig this developer's commentary integrated into the game kind of deal. Yeah, okay. And for a game like this, come on, just gently, and then not so gently. Swing, bada swing. I said, swing. Okay. Smash my head into the log. Yeah.
Oh, you just lost a lot of progress. That's a deep frustration, a real punch in the gut.
It's interesting to just see a game that is this meditation on frustration. And, you know, it's hardly a unique thought. And, but one of the things that I find interesting about this is I find hearing him talk kind of soothing about, not just because he's talking about, you know, frustration and
in a
musing
certain
on
way,
this,
Sexy
but
Hiking is the
literally,
perfect embodiment of a B game. It's built almost
because-
entirely out of found and recycled parts, and it's one of the most unusual and unfriendly games of its time. In it,
Yeah.
your task is simply to drag yourself up a mountain with a hammer. And that act of climbing, in the digital world or in real life, has certain essential properties that give the game its flavour. No amount of forward progress is guaranteed. Some cliffs are too sheer or too
bounce.
slippery. And the player is constantly, unremittingly in danger of falling and losing everything.
Much like this, which literally has a spot where you can basically end up back right at the start. But yeah, so one of the things I wanted to say is part of what I'm appreciating about hearing him talk is also just a certain element of kind of homesickness, right? Like, I've never been in the same room, to my knowledge, as Bennett Foddy, right? You know, he's got his own voice, but his voice is distinctly an Australian voice, and that is just something that I don't hear much of in my day-to-day life. And there's something reassuring about hearing
Sorry about
the
that.
voices that you kind of grew up with. And that is, yeah. There aren't a lot of games where you hear an Australian accent just as part of the audio. It's one of the things I actually kind of liked about now I'm blanking on the name. Mass Effect 2. The character played by Yvonne Strahovski, Miranda, right? I've seen a lot of people who did not like her at all because her shtick is that she's a genetically modified human and she's somehow perfect, even though, I mean, as a character, she makes some really dumb decisions. But it's also one of the few times where I've gotten to hear a video game character speak with a distinctly Australian accent, because she was using her kind of native accent. At least to me, it sounds that way. And I also, this is coming from someone who, even in Australia, like, my accent gets commented on as, like, not being very normal. Right, I've had other Australian people assume that I'm not from Australia. Actually, I had someone comment recently on the channel saying, "Huh, you're Australian?" Like, because I mentioned Invasion Day, and that's very much like an Australian talking point. You're far more likely to hear kind of Australian slang from me, and that's going to be the thing that would clue you in if you happen to be someone that knows Australian slang. Also, yeah, this game is hard. This game is kind of, the whole point is you got this really weird control scheme. That lip is really just not working with me. I don't know. It's fine. Like, I get that it's meant to be hard, and that kind of helps, even though it's hard. Like, if I were really deliberately, I want to conquer this mountain right now, in that kind of mode, this would be very frustrating. But given this is just a, like, here's an opportunity for me to muse on a little bit about homesickness, that is something that I'm more using this game for. And it gives me something to do. This isn't something that I'm
again.
like...
Keep on trying. Don't let it get to you.
It's something that I'm not really focusing on 100%, and, you know, hoping that that'll help. But yeah. So, I moved to Sweden. Almost. Actually, no,
This
not
thing that we
almost.
call failure
I
is not the
literally
falling
moved to
down,
Sweden
but the
6
staying
years
down.
ago.
Mary Pickford.
As of like earlier this week. Yeah. Still not a citizen because of annoying bureaucratic bullshit. But yeah, like I don't actually anticipate leaving Sweden anytime soon. And I'm pretty happy with things here. Not so keen on Sverige Democrat now. Picking up more votes and more influence every time we have an election. That whole lurch to the right thing is disconcerting everywhere. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, got that barrel. Now, give me the coffee. If I can get to the other side of the coffee cup. Yeah.
Anyway, when you start sexy hiking, you're standing next to this dead tree that blocks the way to the entire rest of the game. It might take you an hour to get over that tree, and a lot of people never got past it. You prod and you poke at it, exploring the limits of your reach and your strength, trying to find a way up and over. And there's a sense of truth in that lack of compromise. Most obstacles in video game worlds are fake. You can be completely confident in your ability to get through them once you have the correct method or the correct equipment or just by spending enough time. In that sense, every pixelated obstacle in sexy hiking is real.
Yep. Back down we go.
Get nasty over, boy.
This must have been an interesting game to have people learn to speedrun. Just, I wonder if there are any particularly unusual shortcuts people discovered or odd interactions. I mean, right now I feel like I'm mostly flailing, but that's fine. Yeah. Now, one of the things I should know, like, I feel like trying this game and seeing where we can get is definitely a valuable thing. So, like, if someone ever brings it up, I can talk about it. And I kind of would like to hear more of the stuff that Bennett Foddy's talking about with frustration and all of this. I guess I could look up someone's video on YouTube about doing so. I also feel like that somewhat defeats purpose. Sorry, it's just, there's something kind of comical about the way the flailing works out, right? How do I put this? You just... There's a certain kind of frustration that he exudes, even though, like, I'm not really thinking too hard. I'm like, all I'm talking about is, yes, I would like to finish this, but I'm also quite resigned to the fact that I got other things I want to do, right? This entire series is in effect me saying, yeah, I want to carve out some time to try a bunch of games, to get that sense of novelty and to try things out, but except that I'm not going to go deeply into them. I'm going to get kind of a cheap shot, a novelty, maybe find a game that, you know, I do want to spend a bit of time on, and except that there are a bunch of games that I'll be like, yeah, this seems pretty fun, maybe I'll come back to it one day, and then never do it again, never launch that game again. Maybe I'll think highly enough of it that I will, like, keep it installed, like, yes, this is a game I want to spend some more time on, and just see. One of the things that I think would be interesting to do if I got time and inclination is to go through the games that I tried and I did then go back to, as opposed to the games that I said, yeah, I can see myself going back to this. I suspect, right, there'll be things that will bias that list somewhat. Right, I'm going to go back to short games much more often than I'm going to go back to long games. Right? That's not to put a value judgment on long games. That's just that I personally don't have the same time that someone does, and I've got a lot more games than the typical person. Right. That's not... I'm not getting a whole lot of games from this channel, mind you. I'm the kind of person that has always collected games. Oh, great.
The soul would have no rainbow, had the eyes no tears. John Vance Cheney.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I love the way you got this water that comes out and of the pot, right? I mean, there's no goddamn reason why you're a man in a pot, other than this game being bizarre, and I guess to justify the fact that you're using a hammer to move rather than, you know, your legs, but you still got arms, don't you? This is still a dumb way to move, right? But yeah, there's something about having the water splash out that kind of helps justify to me in my head why he kind of slips down so much. I mean, also, you've got a smooth iron pot, right? So surely that is probably a bigger indication as to what would cause that. But hey, mate, come on, mate, come on. There we go. Whoop, whoop. Nope. Bonk. Haha. Oh, caught myself just. Sometimes part of this is just that he doesn't do what I'm picturing him going to do based on my actions.
The obstacles in sexy hiking are unyielding, and that makes the game uniquely frustrating. But I'm not sure Jazuo intended to make a frustrating game. The frustration is just essential to the act of climbing, and it's authentic to the process of building a game about climbing. A funny thing happened to me as I was building this mountain. I'd have an idea for a new obstacle, and I'd build it, test it, and it would usually turn out to be unreasonably hard. But I couldn't bring myself to make it easier. It already felt like my inability to get past the new obstacle was my fault as a player rather than as a builder. Imaginary mountains build themselves from our efforts to climb them, and it's our repeated attempts to reach the summit that turns those mountains into something real.
Alright. That way? Nope. That was not quite a spring that I was hoping for. So yeah, you're right. Like, oh, am I actually wedged? Nah. I mean, the hammer not going where I'm expecting it to go, based on my point of movement, that is definitely messing with things. Like, sometimes I just don't hop as much as I expect to. I'm fully expecting this is built with the expectation that you probably... Why? Yeah, why do you suddenly slide down when we do that? Because what's going to happen for most people, and in fact especially me I suspect, is eventually going to end up on the left hand side of that yellow rock. I think part of the charm of this game is you can see where you're going to fail. Right? You can see it coming, it's built into the game, you have a sympathetic, and not sarcastic sympathetic, an actually sympathetic sounding developer talking you through it and what the thinking is, and I'm totally going to end up down at the bottom of that, aren't I? I'm like, yeah, you're going to fuck up. But it's built with the expectation you're going to fuck up. And that's fine. It's a game. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Yes, you're going to get your hopes up. Yes, you're going to enjoy yourself, hopefully. And of course this is a deliberately kind of slippery thing. Now this is... yeah.
When you're building a video game world, you're building with ideas. And that can be like working with quickset cement. You mold your ideas into a certain shape that can be played with. And in the process of playing with them, they begin to harden and set until they're immutable, like rock. And at that point, you can't change the world. Not without breaking it into pieces and starting fresh with new ideas.
having the hammer kind of be... this reminds me of an old motocross kind of puzzle game where there are 2 real points, right? As far as I can tell. There's the head of this hammer, and there's the base of our character. Right? And we're manipulating both imprecisely. And that is what gives us this kind of bizarre movement system. But it means that I can't just, like, reach up here, because obviously I just hit the rock. I also can't swing up there. Okay. Really? Come on. Come on. There we go. Come on. There we go. Nope. Fine. I see how this is. You're a monster. But we already knew that. So the hope is that you kind of wedge yourself up. And no, not push yourself away. That's part of the problem, right? I'm trying to wedge myself. But instead the game treats it as you are trying to push yourself away. And why? Yeah. See that, I just don't see where the input comes that suggests that's what I want to do. And that is, yeah, ultimately, well, we're gonna probably gonna end soon. Let's see if I can actually get myself into that passage or not. But yeah, I like the musings. I like just the fact that he speaks in an Australian voice. There's a reason why I am predisposed to actually go, oh, that game's from an Australian. And yeah, it's good to know that you're biased, but is it really that unreasonable that you're biased positively towards the country you come from? And yeah, part of my problem here...
You've done this part before. You know it's possible. Just do what you did the first time.
Thank you. I mean, that was definitely a little bit kind of frustrating to hear because obviously I tried to do what I did the first time. It's this part that I've not done before. And, yeah. Nope. Maybe. This is a weird system. And why is it that, you know... Yeah. Part of it is just to do with how you move the head, right? So if I do this, he does go to follow, but not that well. And then, yeah. It feels like the kind of thing that I run into in karate, which is like, I swear, I'm actually the opposite. I swear I'm telling him not to do a full extend, but it's like, nope, you definitely told him to fully extend his arms up and hit that roof. And then I'm like, no, I didn't. But game's like, nope, definitely did. What are you doing? Yeah. Balance ahead. I got into the passage for the first time. I think I'm going to leave it there at the bottom of this thing. Where this is currently my local minima. And I'm going to leave it there. Like, it's an interesting game. I don't think I'm ever going to touch it again. Because I just don't really feel like beating my head against it. I'm glad it exists. But it, I guess, falls into, once again, that category of, it's just not really for me. That said, Bennett Foddy has a lovely voice. And I'm quite happy to hear him muse about the building of games and frustration and kind of how the creative process and iteration can lead to processes becoming kind of fossilized, even when technically they shouldn't, and there's no particular reason for that. Alright, I'll see you next time.